My entire head is a supernova right now. Hello and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 5, Fugitive of the Judoon, written by Vinay Patel and Chris Chibnall and directed by Nida Manzoor. Now, there will be spoilers for this episode, so if you haven't seen this episode yet, watch it first and then come back here. Seriously do, because this episode is definitely not one to be missed. The story starts with the Judoon descending upon Gloucester and putting the city on a lockdown with a force field as they search for a fugitive. They are about to attack the apartment of Lee and Ruth Clayton, but the Doctor is able to intervene and stall the attack to question the couple. Meanwhile, Graham is transported to a stolen spaceship piloted by Captain Jack Harkness, who mistakes Graham for the Doctor. Discovering a small alien box in the Claytons' apartment, the Doctor presses them to tell the truth, but Lee is refusing. As the others escape, Lee surrenders himself to the Judoon and is killed by Gat, the person who contacted the Judoon to hunt the fugitive. Ryan and Yaz are also transported to Harkness's ship, which is being attacked by those who he stole it from. The Doctor and Ruth are able to escape to a nearby church, but are soon surrounded by the creatures. Out of an uncontrollable instinct, Ruth subdues the Judoon and forces them to leave the planet. Ruth afterward is unable to explain her actions, feeling out of control of her own body when she attacked the Judoon. A text sent from Lee triggers a memory of Ruth, which leads them to a lighthouse where she grew up. Unable to teleport the Doctor due to the Judoon's force field, Harkness gives the companions a message from the future to beware of the lone Cyberman and to not give it what it wants. He is forced to teleport due to the ship's anti-theft attack system, and the companions are transported back to Gloucester. Travelling to the lighthouse, the Doctor investigates outside while Ruth finds an alarm box. Ruth breaks its glass and is engulfed in an energy field, while the Doctor discovers the TARDIS is buried outside. Ruth appears, introducing herself as none other than the Doctor. In the TARDIS, a different version of the Doctor's own, the Doctor and Ruth discover that neither one of them remembers being the other, even though the sonic screwdriver reads them as being the same person. Ruth explains that she had once worked for Gat and had hidden from Gat with a chameleon arch, with Lee being her protector. The TARDIS is brought aboard the Judoon ship where Gat confronts Ruth. Against Ruth's demands, the Doctor reveals her identity. Gat was ordered to bring Ruth back to Gallifrey, meaning that for them, Gallifrey is still standing up in the stars. The Doctor shows Gat a vision of the destroyed Gallifrey that she saw in Spyfall, and in disbelief and shock, Gat shoots at Ruth, but the gun backfires, which kills her. Ruth returns the Doctor to Gloucester and they part ways. The companions meet back up with the Doctor and relay Harkness's message to her. Confirmed at what the recent events, the Master, Harkness and Ruth all mean, the Doctor is sensing that something big is coming for her. My expectations were fairly high for this episode, as it's written by Vinay Patel, who wrote my favourite episode from Series 11, Demons of the Punjab. However, there was pre-hype surrounding this episode on the official Doctor Who Twitter page, proclaiming how we all shouldn't miss this episode. Personally, I tried not to get too hyped up, because I feel that I'd only be setting myself up for disappointment. With these expectations in mind, or lack thereof for me, I was pleasantly surprised by Fugitive of the Judoon. However, as of the time of recording this episode, I feel this is the worst type of episode to review, because this is all set up that will hopefully be answered as the series progresses. So, with the dangling plot threads this episode gave us, I can only speculate rather than outright confirm what these questions and answers are going to be. But, let's look at the positives. Right from the start, Jodie Whittaker was fantastic once again, and I think this is the best performance we've seen her give of her era so far, because she was taken completely out of her comfort zone, as her whole world and everything she thought she knew was shaken up. I loved her anger at the Judoon for attacking the Earth, which they have zero jurisdiction and authority over. I also like the callbacks to the Judoon platoons upon the moon that are near a lagoon or more of a canal. That was pretty funny. The Doctor will do her best to help a bad situation, but will not let innocents get hurt. Now, of course, I'd have to talk about the big revelation regarding Ruth. Usually I'd reserve her for the supporting cast category, but given how it's intricately linked with the Doctor, it only makes sense to talk about it here. I really liked her interactions with Ruth, and I liked the opening scene showing how ordinary Ruth's life is before the Judoon invade and she meets the Doctor. It reminded me a lot of the opening of the episode Rose, where we see Rose Tyler go through her everyday repetitive life. Just from the opening alone, I got Ruth's character. She keeps a happy smile for her unexciting life, and I really liked how she stood up to the Judoon. She had really good chemistry with Jodie, and I liked how the Doctor comforted her while she was scared. However, I loved Jodie's performance at watching Ruth beat the Judoon and even takes the captain's horn. We've never seen that in previous encounters with the Judoon, but Jodie's expression really sold it for me in that this was a bad move for everyone involved. I loved her performance in the car with Ruth. She wants Ruth to trust her and believe that the Doctor is the best hope to keep her alive. Her discovery of another TARDIS and a blank gravestone was perfect. I think we were all completely in the Doctor's shoes here. The confusion and shock on her face was just perfect. I love how she offered herself up to Gat, proclaiming herself to be the Doctor, and her shock of Gat being a Gallifreyan before was brilliantly performed by Whittaker as well. I'm completely in her shoes here. We have no idea what the past has now changed for the Doctor, and why it's changing, or what has changed. The 13th Doctor has showed so much confidence on the outside, but has insecurities and seems to be looking for recognition from her companions and friends. The revelation of an unknown incarnation has completely shaken her world, but I liked how she put Ryan down by saying, "I've lived thousands of years. How long have you been inside the TARDIS? What? A few months?" I think we can sum up the 13th Doctor as, the past is history, yet we still honour it. The future is a mystery for her, as something is coming for her, but we don't know what it is yet. But the present right now is a gift, because the 13th Doctor is a good person, confirmed by Graham, Yaz and Ryan, the people who know her in the now. And with a little help from the TARDIS, she's convinced to let them continue travelling with her. And I think this is a great performance from Whittaker, and I just can't wait to see what happens next. It's like they're taking the Doctor and putting her through hell this series. Now, speaking of the Doctor, let's talk about Jo Martin as the Doctor. Now, in all honesty, I think she nailed the darker aspects of the Doctor's character. The one who has what would many consider to be the trendier TARDIS interior, uses guns and doesn't care about the rules. It was such a great contrast between the shy yet optimistic Ruth and this darker incarnation of the Doctor. Jo Martin just nailed it, and I'm glad within 45 minutes we were able to see how versatile she is as an actress. I really liked her costume as well. The darker overcoat covering the brightly coloured shirt is a really nice look, possibly a hint that the darkness has overtaken the light in this incarnation's past. Who knows, eh? While we've seen aspects of the darker side to the Doctor before, this seems to be an incarnation who doesn't care who gets hurt in the end and just wants to get away. Now, let's get our conspiracy hats on and think, who could this incarnation be? Me personally, I think this Doctor could be an incarnation from a parallel universe. Maybe she's the result of a what-if storyline. Now, parallel universes are no stranger to Doctor Who before, but it's mainly alternative versions to companions that we see. For example, Liz, the Brigadier, and Unit, we see their alternative selves in Inferno. We see alternative versions of Mickey and Jackie in Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. And we've never seen an alternative Doctor before, so this would be an interesting aspect to explore, I think. Now, the big what-if storyline, what if this is how the Doctor in the parallel universe was born? What if this is what she's like, and she's keeping an eye on the other 13 Doctors that have occupied our universe and TV screens for the past 57 years? And maybe these billions of parallel timelines are now converging together in an Infinity War-style battle that will be the war to end all wars for the Doctor's lives. Who knows? Now, another theory that has been going around is that she's a Doctor that existed before William Hartnell's Doctor. Personally, I don't see that being possible because she already has a TARDIS, and it's been established that the first Doctor was the one to run away from Gallifrey with a TARDIS. If they did go that route, I personally wouldn't like it. Unless they did something interesting with it, let's not have it be changed for the sake of change. Another theory is that this Doctor could be known as the Other. For those of you who don't know, the Other is often considered to be one of the founders of Time Lord Society, along with Rassilon and Omega. During the late 1980s, it has been hinted that this was the Doctor, so he would be one of the founding members of the Time Lord Society. And in the late 80s, script editor Andrew Cartmel was trying to add more mystery and more layers to the Doctor's character. This has been known amongst the fandom as the Cartmel Master Plan. Now, it has been hinted in books and other extended media that the Doctor is the Other, but descended through the House of Lungbarrow after the Other vanished into the genetic looms. If they went with the story, I would be fine with that, because it would be bringing extended material into the show, which I think would be an interesting idea to take the series. You never know. Now finally, this Doctor could also possibly be the Valeyard, who appeared in 1986's Trial of a Time Lord, who, according to the Master, is an amalgamation between his 12th and final incarnations. Now, final incarnation doesn't necessarily mean the 13th Doctor, it could mean 507th, but given how they're emphasising this to be a past incarnation, this might be unlikely. But you never know, maybe the Valeyard found a way to change the Doctor's past, like how the Great Intelligence entered his time stream in the name of the Doctor and sought to undo the Doctor's victories. Now, of course, everything I'm saying here could be total rubbish, and Chibnall may have his own ideas, but us fans, we are never going to stop guessing, are we? Of course, the other big shock in this episode is the return of none other than Captain Jack Harkness, played by John Barrowman. One thing I'll say, his first appearance was just perfect. We hear his voice interact with Graham, and then he popped up and asked, "Did you miss me?" And at that point, I just did a dance around my room. I couldn't believe he was back. I loved how he mistook Graham for the Doctor and kissed him straight on the lips. That was just perfect. And I love how he's so on board with a female Doctor. Now, Jack gave us a warning of beware the lone Cyberman. Now, we know they'll be back in, I think, episode 8 of series 12, so we might see Jack again in that episode. Fingers crossed. Furthermore, the nanogenes and the theft system did take him away. Now, just a reminder, the nanogenes first appeared alongside Jack in The Empty Child and the Doctor Dancers, when they caused damage to human beings by rewriting their DNA to be gas mask zombies, and Jack did have them on his own ship that was destroyed at the end of that story. Now, his ship was part of being a time agent, so who knows, maybe he's back with the time agency once again as an immortal man. That would definitely be a help to them, I think. But going back to Barrowman's performance, it was brilliant to see him again. It's like he loved every second of being back in what is clearly one of his favourite roles as an actor. Plus, his ship, interestingly enough, looked like a TARDIS interior. Maybe like the Doctor, Jack has stolen a TARDIS from Gallifrey, and also hinted at an alliance that is after the Doctor. Now, my first thought was the alliance from the Pandorica Opens, maybe, but would Chibnall copy that idea from Moffat? I'm not too sure, but we'll see how this goes. And I think the only downside to Jack's appearance is that he didn't meet the Doctor face to face yet. But I don't think we're done seeing him yet, and I'm sure he'll pop up in another episode. If he doesn't show up again, I think the whole fandom will probably blow up. As much as I loved Jack being back, I think this is also a disadvantage when it comes to our companions Graham, Ryan and Yaz. They felt they were being upstaged by him and seemed to just be reactionary characters to Jack. It's like saying, stand there and I'm gonna look cool and you just react. Now, I did enjoy their scene at the end with the Doctor, and hopefully this will change the Doctor-companion relationship. There will be full disclosure from now on. Everything the Doctor knows, the companions will know too. Now, their reactions to Jack were good and they were funny, and they were well performed by our three actors, but they felt sidelined amongst all the continuity and story elements they introduced, and the Doctor's companions deserve better than this. When we focus more on the Doctor's past in this era, we tend to lose focus of our companions, but maybe that's the point. The Doctor wants to shut them out because she doesn't want them to worry about her, but I'm just hoping they'll get more to do in the second half of the series, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Now, completing the cast, we also have Gat, played by Ritu Arya, and I think a lot of speculation going around is that this could be the Rani, who is an amoral scientist from Gallifrey who experiments on species she deems very primitive to her. Now, the performance from her was really good, and she was pretty intimidating when taking out Lee, and despite being surrounded by thuggish Judoon, she seemed to be the most powerful person in that room. Now, Gat was ordered to bring back the Doctor to Gallifrey, but why was this? Maybe she was acting on, who knows, the Master? Or another higher authority we don't know yet? While she was blasted by the Ruth Doctor at the end, I don't think this will be the last week that we see of her. Or maybe we'll be told what her motivation is through other characters. Maybe the Master took over Gallifrey and ordered all the alternative Doctors, like Ruth, to be brought back to Gallifrey, maybe to fix the timeline? Who knows? The Judoon were also a welcome addition to the story again, and I loved hearing their voices by the excellent Nicholas Briggs. It took me back to being 9 years old when I first saw them in Series 3. Now the makeup and prosthetics look really good, and I just think they're a fantastic creation, but I doubt we will see them again this series. I just felt that they were a named obstacle that the Doctor had to overcome. But you never know, I could be wrong. Sega Nakanola's music was also really good. It's exciting and bombastic, but also moving as well. My favourite piece of music from this episode has to be the revelation of the second TARDIS. The score just brought the emotions of the scene to life. It was just fantastic work. Production-wise, this episode was brilliant too. There were some really nice shots of Gloucester, which I bet was fun for the fans who lived there and were able to see the production filmed. And one aspect that really stood out to me was the lighting of Ruth's TARDIS interior. It was the original console room again from 1963, but much darker in the light than we have ever seen before. Maybe this is a subtle hint that this isn't really the Doctor, but also the lighting is a reflection of how Ruth is a much darker incarnation of the character, which I think was a nice touch, unintentional or intentional or otherwise. So, to summarise, Fugitive of the Judoon is the worst type of episode to review. Now that's not to say this is an awful episode, but this episode is set up that will undoubtedly be answered in the upcoming episode, and it's quite hard to pass judgment on it initially because as of the time recording this video, I don't know the answers yet, and I can only ask questions and propose theories so far. It'll be hard to tell if this episode is going to age well when we know the answers, but hopefully when the whole series is finished, it will be fun to watch Fugitive of the Judoon as a vital part of the puzzle. But in terms of acting, scripting and production, this episode does deliver on that front, and on first viewing it will certainly leave you shocked and asking for more questions, and in a series giving you a story arc as intriguing as this, I think that's enough to recommend. Well everyone, that's all from me. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the episode, and what are your questions after you watch this episode? I'd love to hear them, and I'd love to hear your theories on who the Ruth Doctor is. That's going to be my name for her from now on. Let me know and I'll take a look, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.